TLC is one of the greatest girl groups of all time, not only because they have fun, danceable classics, but they also touched upon various important topics, such as HIV awareness, body image issues, and the practice of safe sex. That's not the typical substance we get from pop groups in general, and more than anything, I think people really fell in love with their chemistry. Even though they are a group that was put together by an executive, when Chili, T-Boz, and Left Eye were together, it felt like they'd known each other their entire lives, a true sisterhood. But like all siblings, TLC had their struggles. Few pop groups are as effortlessly cool as TLC. It never seemed like they were trying too hard or out of place, even when balancing the duality of fun songs and socially conscious songs. They pulled it off with ease, while pretty much elevating and reinvigorating themselves with every release they had into the new millennium. Left Eye, the rapper of the group, was responsible for a lot of the group's images and creative concepts. She was forward-thinking, a visionary, and the nucleus of TLC. Despite her coming up with a neat and forward-thinking tribute to the group's fans with 1999's FanMail, she was practically obsolete on the album. Instead, a computerized rapper named Vicky took over a majority of the rapping duties on the album. Yes, in a group where there is a designated rapper, a computer does a majority of the rapping instead. There was a long road to the drama of FanMail, but Lisa, nicknamed Left Eye, was a visionary for the group from the very beginning. L.A. Reid, who executive produced the group's debut album Ooh on the TLC Tip, stated that he didn't have to sit around and think of everything for TLC, because the three of them had their own ideas of what they wanted the group to be. The group naturally took on a more tomboy style, and wore extremely baggy clothes. However, it was Left Eye that pushed their fashion senses into a vibrant statement about safe sex, that will ultimately define their early career and help shape the messaging of the group for years to come. The idea very randomly came to Left Eye to pick up a condom and attach it to her clothing while at Chili's house. She then gave her reasoning, stating that their message for wearing the condoms would be to promote safe sex. Not only was it effective marketing that helped them stand out visually, but it also had merit socially, which is ultimately the ideal result when doing something provocative, for it to have a larger message. She's also the one that came up with the name of the album. Leading up to the group's second album, Left Eye would land herself in controversy after burning down her ex-boyfriend Andre Risen's house in 1994. This incident placed Left Eye and TLC at the center of the headlines worldwide, with Left Eye being painted as crazy, many ignoring the very abusive and volatile nature of their relationship that ultimately led to the incident. The incident didn't negatively impact their career though. In fact, it ignited more fire under their career and pushed them into headlines. For years though, Left Eye's anger has been greatly mischaracterized. During the recording of their landmark album CrazySexyCool, Left Eye had less involvement than she did in the debut album, since she was sent to rehab following the fire incident. Still, her artistic imprint reigned heavy over the second album. She came up with the concept and title for CrazySexyCool, giving acknowledgement to how they are all individually perceived, but also how they all share some of those characteristics. Creep became the group's very first #1 single on the Billboard Hot 100, pushing them into a more mature direction. Despite it being a big success, and one of the group's signature hits, Left Eye did not agree with the message of the song. She thought that instead of telling a woman to cheat back, that the song should tell the woman to leave. This outlook was likely impacted by her own experiences and her going to rehab at the time of the song's creation. T-Boz also stated that Left Eye was concerned that her then boyfriend, Andre, would get the wrong impression about her cheating. Left Eye did record an anti-creeping verse on the remix, which she wanted to be added to the official version, but her and producer and writer Dallas Austin did not agree on the verse. Though there were hurdles involving CrazySexyCool, which inevitably limited her involvement in the record, she still shines bright throughout the album. Her verse on their iconic landmark hit Waterfalls, which spent 7 weeks at #1, is one of the most touching verses to come out of a 90s song. It reads like a poem, and she poured her heart into that verse. Her verse on the album cut, Something Wicked This Way Comes, takes a similar introspective approach, while her verse on Kick Your Game oozes effortless coolness. On the B-side for the album called My Secret Enemy, she tells her life story and acknowledges the ridicule she faced while with her boyfriend Andre Risen, even though she was the one allegedly abused. CrazySexyCool, released in 1994, became the first girl group album in history to ever go diamond, selling over 10 million copies in the States alone. The album won numerous accolades, including Grammys, VMAs, and Billboard Music Awards. They also received Artist of the Year in 1996. At the height of their career, they filed for bankruptcy, and their faulty record deal came to public attention. They sought to renegotiate their contract with LaFace Records. After years of discussions, they eventually settled, and they began to work on their third album. But the album was marred with controversy and infighting from the very beginning, and a lot of it came at the hands of their primary producer and writer, Dallas Austin, who was also dating Chili at the time, and they would later have a son. Dallas Austin wanted extensive creative control, and so did Left Eye. The album started off with drama. Dallas Austin wanted $4.2 million to produce the album, and the girls and him had a standoff until they came to a resolution. Then eventually, after they came to an agreement for the production on the album, Left Eye was still dissatisfied with the direction of the record. Left Eye came up with the entire concept of FanMail, the title, the premise, and the concept for the cover. They had received a lot of FanMail during Lisa's stint in rehab, and during their bankruptcy situation, and they just wanted to thank the fans for sticking by them. Lisa even had the idea to create an edgy sexual promotion website for the album called Fantasy, where the girls would post racy content, an idea that sounds like a precursor to OnlyFans. That idea was obviously shut down, but past that, what really seemed to irritate her about the project is her lack of creative control in the album. All of the songs she submitted for the record were rejected. She turned in 8 songs, and they weren't up to par, Dallas Austin says. It's crazy because she quit the group, then a couple days later be like, I'm back. She cries wolf a lot, he says. Dallas eventually came up with Vicky, a computerized rapper, as a means to fill in Left Eye's absence because she quit the group a few times during the process. The album process caused a lot of friction publicly and privately, as Left Eye became increasingly uninterested and frustrated with the record, with T-Boz and Chili claiming that Left Eye was selfish and only cared about her solo record since they had contractual obligations that would affect all of them. Left Eye responded by issuing what was dubbed the challenge. Let it be understood that I am interested in making multi-million-dollar business deals. It seems that my 2 group members are not, she said. This poses a serious conflict, therefore I propose the challenge, a 3 CD set that contains 3 solo albums, each, will be due to the record label by October 1st, 2000. I also challenged Dallas the Manipulator Austin to produce all the material and do it at a fraction of his normal rate. As I think about it, I'm sure LaFace Records would not mind throwing in a $1.5 million prize for the winner. The girls declined the offer. Left Eye would eventually get on board with FanMail and the promotion of the record, though she didn't bite her tongue about how much she disliked the creative process and didn't care that much for the album itself.
This is my favorite album.
My favorite album too.
Yeah, by far. I mean, I can listen to it from top to bottom, whereas before I kind of have to skip over, you know, a couple of songs.
Mine, same her.
Yeah, same her, same.
My favorite album was CrazySexyCool.
Dallas Austin would later admit to writing a letter to drive a wedge between the girls, just for fun.
And I started getting a hold to the fact that Lisa was just like acting out, you know, so I went and wrote a letter, and I said, you know what, we don't need you anyway, get the F out the group, we don't love you, da 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 blah blah blah, and I signed it from T-Boz and Chili, and I left it in her room. And she comes back in the dressing room, she's going, wait, what do y'all mean y'all don't want me in the group? What do y'all mean y'all quitting? They don't know what she's talking about. And she's like, no, I was just saying this, I wasn't saying I wasn't gonna play tonight, I was just saying I was quitting. And then they just didn't know what she was talking about. And after she left, I was like, I put a letter in the room from you guys to tell her go F herself, you know.
Regardless, the album was a massive success, with their juggernaut hit No Scrubs becoming their 3rd #1 hit. The album version unfortunately does not include Left Eye. Fortunately, the video version does, and let me tell you, the Left Eye version is the only version of this song to be acknowledged. She livens up the song and brings a whole nother level of energy to it. Though Left Eye wasn't featured on I'm Pretty, it became yet another chart topper for the group, and she really loved the message of this song. Her verses on I'm Good at Being Bad, My Life, and If They Knew are album highlights. She definitely would have brought a fire touch to songs like Silly Ho, which is one of TLC's underrated classics. Around this time, she would get new management as she began her foray into her solo career, that management being Suge Knight. She also prioritized spirituality as she was dealing with her internal struggles. Her creativity wasn't placed on hold though. Left Eye's own girl group, Black, became a success, which seems to be a forgotten part of her legacy. You can definitely see the Left Eye influence in the group's visual aesthetic. They opened up for TLC on the FanMail tour. Black would have an eerily similar tragedy to their mentor Lisa Left Eye. They were also a 3-piece group, And member Natina Reed would lose her life after being struck by a car in 2012. Left Eye and TLC got back on better terms following the fiasco of FanMail. It's deeper than a working relationship. We have feelings for each other, which is why we get so mad at each other. I usually say that you cannot hate someone unless you love them, so we love each other. That's the problem. Their fourth album, 3D, was envisioned by Left Eye as another look at the 3 different personalities that make up TLC. 3D. The album has some raps that were originally recorded for the album and some raps from her unreleased solo efforts that were worked into the songs. Before the 3D album was released, her debut album Supernova was ultimately shelved in the States, and she never got to release her planned follow-up album Nina, due to her passing away at the age of 30 after being involved in a car accident in Honduras after going there for missionary work. TLC never quite recovered from Left Eye's loss, and they never tried to replace her. After all, she was the firecracker in the creative force. She received the most writing credits out of all the TLC members. She also designed some of the group's outfits, stages, and as mentioned before, came up with various concepts for the group, including the album titles. I do think Left Eye is underappreciated due to the fact that she never really got to step into her solo career. But she's an essential 90s hip-hop and R&B figure and female MC. She, alongside Missy Elliott, also spearheaded a lot of animated flows in fashion and hip-hop. To this day, her iconic fashion and hairstyles are still referenced by several female rappers that came after her. It's interesting to think what might have materialized with Left Eye because she was a true eccentric. She had bold, oftentimes forward-thinking ideas and a very distinct fashion style. Nonetheless, I do think the work she gave us with TLC is great, and through her verses and fashion, you can really hear and see her growth as an artist. Left Eye also has various standout features that were not a part of TLC, like her verse on Not Tonight alongside Lil' Kim, Missy Elliott, Da Brat, and Angie Martinez. It's really a female rap manifesto. It was also a top 10 hit. All the ladies shine on this song, but Left Eye is definitely a standout. She also very smartly shines light on the abuse she received and the fire incident in this song. Lay another finger on this big bad wolf, Miss Lady Rap singer. I be the one to blame as the flames keep rising, a play on her ex's last name, to the top and it don't stop. Her verse on Donnell Jones's You Know What's Up is a classic. It's one of her less animated verses, and I think it shows that she can really pull off animated and self-serious rapping equally well. I think she also added a lot to NSYNC's Space Cowboy. I do think it's unfortunate that she didn't necessarily get to share a lot of musical creative control within the group, especially after they were multiple albums into their career. But the creative touches that she was able to implement cannot be understated. There's literally no TLC without Left Eye.